Start recording. Recording has started. So now all of you should see on the top that something is recorded. Okay.
Yeah, you're notified.
Okay, great.
Is it possible to zoom in a little or make the letters a little larger? Because
let me try this.
And you can also open it in its own like window or something, so you practically only see Marcel's screen then.
Yeah, exactly. You could zoom in, I think, in Teams, because here I open view, appearance, centered layer, full screen, zoom in, Control+. So let me see if that works. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Good to read. Good to have a manual to read. So, like as just one side note, because I was really puzzled now with all this UTC, wintertime, daylight saving time, etc. that I wrote to Shane. Hey, I'm so puzzled because the meeting was in the Google Calendar was at 8, and I was so sure that it was at 10 in my time, right? And so for all of you, just as a hint, because the problem was sitting in front of the computer at that point. So I really like this because if you open the OpenChain Global Calendar from Google, it now has a static UTC time, right? So that means that the translation to your time needs to be done by you. So far, so good. Now, there's this thing, March to October, for me, that means 8 to 10 UTC means 10 to 11. Then in end of October, we will switch the day back to CET. At that time, for me, the same time is at 9 to 10. So it will be 1 hour earlier if we leave that like this for UTC. Like this, so that everyone is aware. Otherwise, we would need to switch then also in the global calendar, but just that you know. So so Shane is maintaining this, and thank you for that, Shane, and also that it is now static UTC, because I was of the impression that I had the option started that it always adapts to my time zone, so I was really puzzled, but now it should be static in the global calendar, and the time for today is correct. So it says 8 to 10 UTC, but here for me that is GMT +1 or UTC +2. Sorry, UTC and GMT +2. So that is the correct timing. Just for everyone else who was a little bit confused, perhaps I'm the only one. Okay. And
Marcel,
yes.
sorry, would it be possible for you to share the GitHub URL, or actually, I mean, to this file?
To this file, yes, I plan to do so.
Okay.
This is also about the status quo and the proposed setup, because I was also of the impression that I had the access right to the sharing creates value, but somehow I seem to have lost it because of some timeout issues. So I will start a pull request with this MD file, so you don't have to note this down. I will share this later. Exactly how it is here, and also therefore I also have the edit mode here open, so if we have some additional additions here, so that everyone can see this later and access it. And so for the status quo, for those who are new to this group, what happened so far in the past. So we have already in 2017 we sat together, we have noted down what we're doing and had some alignments already. And here for the first link, if I think I can click this and share it. So this is our common goal. What we do, we're building an end-to-end automated open source compliance toolchain ecosystem, right? So this is then important. That's about the ecosystem. So I think if either you can read that later or now. The other thing is that we used in the past, we used slide 8. I always use this picture, right? On a global level, we have inputs, we have outputs, and we're mainly talking about the thing in between, how we can automate this end-to-end, this our software coming in from the process, and this is on the right side, what we need to provide notices, attributions, written offers, etc. All this FOSS compliance bundle. Then the other question was, okay, how do we structure this in the middle, right? So we have on the one side now started, and this was the main thing of the last year, this capability map. So we have several architectures, but we came to the conclusion that's not everything in this chain is done by tools, right? So then we said, okay, how can we call it then differently? So we called it then capabilities, to be very, very abstract. So some of those capabilities could then be equivalent to tools, but some not. Yeah, but with this, we made it as a good abstraction layer to link to the processes on the one side, and on the other side having now a landscape where we can also map the tools if we have some, or methods, databases, whatever. And there's another thing that we already have. There's this list of tools, of compliance tools. So we always used this meeting, and I think this is still the idea or the expectation for most of us, that we want to share, are there new tools or updates for the tools that we already know? And here our idea was to limit ourselves to open source tools. So no vendor tools, or at least tools that have also an open source core, at least, so that we can also influence that or contribute to this tooling. So, and the other thing that we also see here is that, well, at least I tried to also not only providing the tool, but also showing the tool in action. How could that look like end to end as a reference for people also to download this, because it's all open, it's all there, right? That people can just download it and try it on their own. So this is the status quo we have already, and now it's we want to get back on track and continue there. And there is also the question to all of you about the main expectations, as I already mentioned. So and this is where I appreciated this round most, to be honest, because it was also, you always got the newest stuff here, what's happening with tools, what are updates, having those discussions on the tool level, but on the other hand, also having then this alignment between, okay, because I'm rather the process guy than the tool guy, to be honest, but then we can also talk, okay, we need that on the process side. What can we have on the tool side? And the tool guys, the communities could also ask us or align on the interfaces on the processes. And I hope this is still the case for all of you, because that was what I really appreciated, and I hope that we can keep going on here. So a lot of talking, and now about the proposed setup. So what I would love, and therefore I would also invest time for that, is that here, as I did it today, I would note down, I would also, for those where I'm chairing the meeting, I would prepare this markdown files with the agenda that we can online also document that, having all this what it was talked about then later for your records, or if someone wants to visit the links, and we collect all those links. Point number one. The other question is then where to store it in, and in which structure. So because here we have the tooling landscape in general, because we are currently hosted in Sharing Creates Value org, in this open source compliance tooling org from Oliver. And here we have our own Sharing Creates Value repository, and in this repository we have a subsection for the tooling landscape. This is where we started 5-6 years ago. But there's also a dedicated folder for meeting material. It's either or. I think it's not a question if, but how. We have to clarify later. But I will share this. So I will try to find out later I will make a pull request because I need to find out who can then also merge this this pull request, because here there are some points to clarify. But that would be the easiest way to just yeah, continue how we started. Perhaps there is someone in the line who has already some more news about this. And I saw, because the current structure in meeting material, we have a subfolder for each meeting. I saw as a good practice from SPDX group, they only have one huge folder with the files, the markdown files, like I did it here with the date. Yeah, and then they group, they move it to the year so that you can see in 2022 they have then all the markdown files there, and so on.
So
yes.
Sorry. On this point, yeah, this works for SPDX because we are providing just the minutes, right? So it's just one file. We use we have the directories in this setup because we had, presentations, and we want to have, PowerPoint as well and stuff like that, right? That's why it was different. So yeah.
I also saw this, and I also like that, to be honest, because then you have it also in a central place. I think I'm currently tending to have a combination of both. So to have a folder, and in this folder at least the markdown file, so then we can get rid of those PowerPoint slides, because sometimes we only have the PowerPoint with only one slide that says, okay, exactly what could also be in the markdown.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
So that would be my proposal, if you don't mind. And then we would have also still the flexibility to say, okay, if there was some presentation or we want to make a picture together, etc., then we can store it in this meeting folder. But would potentially be a good idea to take over this good practice of moving then older folders into a subfolder with the respective year, because that makes it, I think, a little bit better to navigate there. Then my proposal would be to have one central place where we can also collect topics as a backlog, perhaps also in GitHub with pull requests, that if someone has a new idea, that you can just make a pull request to this backlog file. And to stick with this is the last point, to have these 2 meetings per month. So one in the first Wednesday and the other in the third Wednesday. I think this was already a discussion we had in July, August. The one rather in the morning to rather cover also the Asian area better, and the other in the afternoon to be more convenient for example, Gary, who also participated sometimes for the US American region. I think that was a good idea. It's just a question of the time slots, because here in my calendar it still says 16 to 1700 CEST. If this is correct, because I already saw some other meetings invites with or listings with 1800, so I was really not sure what's now correct, but for at least for October. Okay, at least for October, I would now use this time slot. So the next meeting would be, as I wrote down here, that is very clear for everyone, on the 18th of October, 1600 CST. That means UTC. Don't ask me. 1600.
2 before.
Yeah, 2 hours before. I hope that's correct. I'm so puzzled with these different time zones. Okay. Yes, this is the proposed setup, and then also I also tried to now really not only talk but use this structure here, the capability map where we have the different capabilities, to also structure this. So as you can see now later in use, and here I always try to then put the respective capability in front of it, so that people can see, I'm interested in exactly in this special capability. Are there some news? What are the tools that they can also just concentrate on that? Or if I have news about that they can already provide it in the right place. Yeah, and as I already said, rolling chair, so it would then switch every month. So, but we should know this before. So every moderator should care about that for the next meeting. So then for November, there is someone, then the one from November would check for December and so on, so that we can also guarantee that there's someone who is doing this, and also perhaps putting this in this backlog or somewhere in GitHub, so that always everyone can see who is chairing the next sessions in this respective month.
If I could make a proposal, Marcel, with that, we might want to have a calendar of the next 12 months and people sign up to the month that they feel as though they can do. But also ask, if no one signs up for November, that you kind of try and find that if people don't do that.
Yeah. Proposal to have already 12-month calendar to see if there are
just in
gaps.
case people are taking holiday, for example, on in certain months they can't volunteer, but they could volunteer in future.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, good. So and that leaves now the question here, because there are open points to clarify. Is there anyone in the line who is a maintainer of this open source compliance work or this repository sharing creates value? Who could grant me access, or also then the other moderators for the future?
Not anymore.
Okay, that's bad, because that raises a little bit the challenge there. So I will try to find out with Shane how we can manage this. So might be that we need to somehow work around this, at least for until the end of the year. So, but I try to keep all of you then informed here.
Yeah,
so,
and Marcel, this is Francis. You can maybe align with me as well. I'm, organizationally halfway close to Oliver, and might have some options that can help us there.
That's great, Francis. Thank you for that.
We could just work on a fork.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's all a little bit even more puzzling. So I try to make it more simple. Yeah, Shane?
I just wanted to jump in here and say, essentially we had a single point of failure with access to the repository and the meeting room. So my basic suggestion is that why don't we make a fork of the repository in the general OpenChain project, and then we can work on it there, and everyone will have access to it if they can access our normal OpenChain GitHub.
I think that could be plan B, but let's try plan A first.
Yes.
Yep.
Establish alternative work structure below OpenChain. Yeah. So yeah, I will try to contact you, Francis, and check it out how we can do it. And yeah, then let's have plan B in mind. But I will use the mailing list to keep you updated there. And worst case, yeah, I share only the pull request links, then at least you could access here the markdown, etc. until I find the home for the material. Okay, then I did this morning, and I need to be honest, I'm not that experienced yet with the capability map, so I always have to open it here next to it and then check, okay, what is this, what is that? I always help myself with input output. So for the following mapping please don't be too severe with me. That might be that I mismapped some of the details, so please correct me if I was wrong. But at least I tried it, and hopefully until next time I get a little bit more experience with correct mapping. So here, as I said earlier here up front, I also shared the link here in the capability map to my pull request, because currently there we only have the PowerPoint, and that makes it a little bit strange, because as you just saw, I have to open the PowerPoint and jump from here to there and so on in the PowerPoint. So what I did for myself, especially, sorry, I'm egoistic at that point, I just made a markdown file for each of those slides with the same structure. And I also made a pull request here to merge it. So that would also be the third thing to do then, once we have to clarify the ownership there and the maintainship, so that everyone can also access this like a markdown, so that you can just click on, for example, dependency analyzer source, and then you get directly to the markdown instead of the need opening the PowerPoint and this MD. But now let's come to the 2 points, because I know Matthew needs to leave. And now looking at the case data collector and because here I wasn't sure it fitted to both package metadata repository. So here we sat together with Matthew and Umo from SAIS, where we discussed after the OSS EU meeting, SPDX mini summit. I asked the question, well, is there already an idea of having further profiles, like business profiles, or export control profiles? And then Kate, she sent me to Matthew, and then Umo also joined in and said, okay, let's sit together. So we had a first meeting where we also said, okay, let's present this in this round here, if there are other birds of a feather who would also be interested in this. So we're currently thinking about 1 or 2 profiles. What you need to know is that SPDX is mainly the idea, right, to interchange between legal entities. So what we had in mind, or me especially, are also some things beyond this. So also metadata that potentially only used within our organization and not meant to share, but where I see a huge benefit if we would have a standardized way of collecting this metadata, especially also to implement it in the tooling. So here, for example, if just as an example, business profile, metadata about distribution type, if it's hosted, distributed, or also the business context. So where do I need to distribute the FOSS compliance bundle to, things like that about the business context. The other thing, and I think there Matthew can also say some words about the export control profile. Umo already showed us what he has currently already internally. So he has already a huge collection of fields that he collects here. But here we said, okay, here might also be some contents that are interesting then to share then downstream with the supply chain about contained encryption, ECCN numbers that are already known, etc. And this was the discussion we already started. As I said, we only met once. That we said, okay, ideally we could collect or have SPDX profile where we can collect all necessary data that is required to generate the ECCN evaluation, right? So far for this request for the participation. So if anyone is also interested in this, please contact me or Matthew. We will try to set up a follow-up meeting to do this. So this is the first time that we also tell others about that. And while we discussed, and this is now the tool idea discussion, we said, well, wouldn't it be good if we would have then an SPDX profile which collect all the necessary data required? If we would also then have some tool that automatically generates this ECCN evaluation, as most of us in our organizations might have those if then else Excel slides, files, etc., where we try to fill out yes, no, yes, no. This is a repeatable task and depends mainly on this data. And so there was the first question, okay, perhaps there is already something, right? And who could not know better than this tooling or automation group here? So this is the idea. This is the request for participation. So open for discussion now. As I said, Matthew needs to leave early, so perhaps you also want to say some words to this.
I've just moved my meeting at this time, so I'm happy to stay on for the rest of this call.
Great.
Yeah, but it was just a general idea. We all dealing with export control. It would be good to standardize the nomenclature as we move across different companies, and then also, you know, at my company we have this if then else kind of questionnaire that we have to fill in, yes, no, etc. And one could imagine there's logic behind that creates the export control number. And if we could create a tool that we could all benefit from, with the caveat that we put some form of disclaimer in there saying this probably should be checked, but at least it's a first attempt at predicting that export control number. I can certainly provide some of the technical sort of questions and logic, but we probably want to find somebody if they can actually create that tool.
That's certainly something I'd be interested in hearing in with respect to the Open Chain Export Control Workgroup. It seems like there's quite a bit of overlap going on there.
Are you covering that in the Open Chain Export Control Working Group, creating a tool?
Not yet. So the focus at the moment is on reviewing the existing records that we have for worldwide legislation and trying to bring that up to date, since it's the version we have goes back to 2013. But in parallel, I have put some effort into trying to collect information about said legislation, trying to identify common attributes and metadata and so on. The direction I want us to be ultimately heading in is that the attributes of things like encryption can be likened to things like license families, and attributes of legislation can be licensed to be likened to things like license obligations. And we build metadata around that the same way that the license compliance WERP produced standard interpretations and SPDX identifiers and that kind of thing.
Also, just to add to that, Steve, there is something that will definitely come next, but we already started, which is to have a common list of cryptographic algorithms and their classification, which is input to ECCN. That's also there.
Yes, that's what I see as being equivalent to license families and SPDX identifiers.
Exactly, yeah. Alexios, you're raising your hand, right?
That's right. So, yeah, if you're thinking about having this metadata in SPDX like a profile, I would strongly recommend that you tell the SPDX people about it, right? So, and the easiest way to do that is just create an issue to the SPDX3 model repo, so that people know that, hey, people are interested in that. So, and maybe more people will be interested to see it there, interested, and then, the way the whole profile thing works is that, you raise an issue and people find about it, and then you set up your own meetings and calls and continue working on that. And at some point, you come back, you come to the general SPDX and say, this is, how we're thinking about the new profile, right? So it's all the work has been done in parallel in, breakout sessions and meetings, if you want to call them like that, right? So
I had a quick question, Alexios, about that.
Yeah.
When these little breakouts happen, do you need formal processes for it, or do people just get together and say, we've got an idea, we're going to chat about it, we'll come back later? And that's just a question because it could help inform us in how we manage these processes too. We've been fairly ad hoc. If people have an idea, they go off and come back later. I just wanted to check how SPDX does it.
So there's no formal process on, establishing a new area of interest, right? We explicitly say that this is not something under, which has to be specified in the governance of SPDX, right? And if you see in the SPDX meetings, for example, we say we have the 3 major teams, right? Tech, legal, and outreach. And then we have ad hoc subgroups for specific topics. And everybody can create a subgroup and set up what they're doing. We try to list all of them and when they meet, and so that people can find them. But no, there's no formal process for this subgroup.
I think the challenge here is that. Oh, sorry, Shane. I was just going to say that the challenge here is that export control is a different use case. I mean, so far, everything goes around license compliance and security, right? As the 2 major.
We have AI, data, build, use. We have 12 profiles. So.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Please remember light profile.
Sorry?
A right profile. Light.
Oh, yeah. SPDX Lite.
Please.
Yeah, but thank you for that hint. So I think we, because I was sent by Kate to Matthew, where she already knew he has interest, and then Omar came in. So it was kind of ad hoc already in Bilbao 2 weeks ago. But I will follow your recommendation and try to create such an issue, and then get more involved also in SPDX, because that is also new to me. But I'm happy to do this. So I will care for this, and I think Matthew, we anyway have a follow-up planned in the next weeks. So then we can discuss about the further proceeding. Yeah. So it was just also the entry point to this tool discussion.
Alexius, do you think it's worth highlighting this at the meeting on Thursday, the SPDX general meeting that we're doing this?
Sure, yes, that would be great.
Okay, then I will say Matthew is, because Matthew, you have also a regular with Kate. I think that's by far, yeah. We'll follow up. Yeah, great. Good, then it's 1 point less on my list. Very good. So thank you for your inputs and this lively discussion. So then also, because I heard a little bit, but if you anyway have no hard point at the end, Matthew, that's great. Then we can come to the news section that I always loved. So here I already tried to collect some, but here you see a lot of points. So I would also be open for your news there and add them. So I saw, 2 days ago when I started to prepare this, that there was already started discussion in the OpenChain mailing list by Jari about SBOM comparison. What I said, thought, okay, well, that would be nice if we could support here as a tooling group and already provide material. Look, this is already here and there and here and there. So for those of you who didn't see that yet, please check this discussion. I think that's an interesting one, especially also for us.
Related to that, I seem to recall that Thomas has mentioned quite a few times in the past that he has a page where he reviews lots of SPDX related tools and does automated builds and comparisons of them. I don't know where that page is. Does anybody know that?
It's some of us might know this because he buried it somewhere in a special setup, and this is also one news that I forgot here. Perhaps I will call it general. this was some news in the Bilbao meeting that he wants to start a new project called open source whatever level up. So it's more about, well, not only tooling, but also the whole framework of open source management. I think it's OSL EU. I try to find a link. And here in this project, he also would contribute all this stuff. So he would contribute curations. He would contribute also knowledge bases, etc., etc. And I guess he could then also contribute this list or these comparisons there from Thomas Den Bergen. I hope that he is potentially today in the line, so therefore I thought he would talk about it anyway. But here I think he will also update us with some news as new Linux project. Yeah.
Yes.
So
I just wanted to jump in here. I
Yes.
don't have full context, but I believe from what Thomas told me, and I heard of it first from Thomas, I've only heard a few things, but that's it'll be a Linux Foundation project scheduled to launch in January, as far as I gathered. And he's already socializing some material, but I don't see any centralized public resource on it yet. So we probably need to get Thomas on the call to talk through.
Right, but with that in mind, the page I was referring to was something that Thomas has mentioned for a number of years, so it's not something new.
Exactly. It's all that Thomas collected over all his past years. He would share it with us. So I'm really looking forward to this. From process level down to tool level, including configurations, package configurations, etc. So he also told me I can share the link to this. Let me see if I find it. Then I can also share it here in the because he has shared a document about the idea. And let me see where I can find this, and then I shared also here with you. Then we don't need to have half truth or something like that. Then you see the real basic idea of it directly. Okay. Yeah, then the next news point that was Sebastian Schubert told me that they set up now as a tool orchestrator, as you might know, OSS Review Toolkit. They have now releases since a few weeks, so that you can also see that as release. And also some planning, and this is also some update I will share here later in the upcoming events. So that was some news from.
Just to say that is not only the releases, it has Docker releases officially upstream now. So we have two versions, one with the basic tools and the other one with full languages repository. It's possibly to use it right now if you want to. So it's
Docker.
public official Docker releases now.
Official public Docker releases. That's great. Yes. Then next point. Here I collected here in a subsection. So what I learned at Bilbao, what might be of interest for those who were not there. So I also visited the SPDX Mini Summit, and there were some updates about the Java and Python tools for SPDX. So they're nearly at, as I learned, on feature par. They also recommend heavily then also to use the libraries there. And you, with the new tooling, this is already ready more or less for SPDX 3.0 release candidate 1, as far as I understood. Release candidate 2 is there that is also meant to be released then in the next few days, weeks. And with that, also the tooling is potentially already ready. What I understood is that with the tools, you can also then transferring your old SPDX versions to the version 3. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I just got a message from the other big blue button there. I'm still logged in. Okay, good. Yeah, so that is one update. So there are some tools. Then I visited also the colleagues here, Francis, from your area, from the Siemens side. That was also an interesting talk about Software 360 and Fossology combined. So what I learned, there's a new package concept in Software 360, and also on Fossology side, there's the idea to also include a rule engine to automatically then care about these things. So there, I think this was a really good mapping with what we described in the capability OSG rule enforcement. And here I talked with the colleagues then later if we can potentially also collaborate here and just reusing one of the modules of the OSS review toolkit to just use the evaluator there as the rule engine. But let's see, because different technologies, software languages. Let's see. That were those updates from my side. Are there any other news from other sides?
Just to add something more to Fossology, it's worth mentioning that since 4.3.0, it features a ScanOSS agent, which gives Fossology visibility on snippet matching and plagiarism check. I think it's a massive contribution to the project.
Integrates ScanOS.
Yep, it's 4.3.0, almost 90% sure that's the version number.
Version, and thus.
And just for super clarity, because some people on the call mightn't be fully aware, I believe, Julian, you're referring to the open source ScanOS tool,
yes,
right?
That's right.
It's also the company. Yeah. Okay. Because we're going to have people dialing in from, watching the recording from other places that might be super familiar. So I just wanted to make sure that they would know that as well. Yeah. That's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, well, now Fossology can see the license of a file that doesn't have a license header, for example. So it's a major addition.
Right. Is that the first time we've had that in an open source tool for open source compliance? I think it might be.
Yep.
I'm not aware of any other tool doing it right now.
Yeah, would it be? Sorry, would it be worth mentioning also that in 2 weeks we have the EclipseCon, or will you wait after the event to add the news from the event? I don't know if perhaps worth mentioning, right?
Yeah, the EclipseCon, that's correct. That is
just two short weeks away.
Yeah, that's worth mentioning.
I think 16 to 18, right?
Yep.
EclipseCon Europe in Ludwigsburg.
Yep.
So I will also share the. Yeah, this is too many things on my desk. I already forgot, because there we also have a meeting with the Aliens for Friends colleagues about the Linux area that we should also talk about. So I will share this link later. Yeah, so if you have some details, so here you will share something, Julian, you mentioned.
I don't have the link. Maybe Florent, do you have the link handy? Otherwise, we can share it later and just.
I have I'll post here a link on. We have a presentation there, Siemens Healthineers together with Siemens and Toshiba on the SBOM at the EclipseCon. So I think that's also another interesting aspect, is that we're fairly committed to using Software 360 as the base, the source of truth for our components, and then using that to be able to generate the SBOM also directly from Software 360.
I have nothing more to add. Link. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the young engineer from Toshiba will be attending the ExhibitCon, so please join that session.
And speaking of updates on Software 360, one of the points that I found interesting from the Build Out presentation was the forthcoming efforts to remove LifeRay as the underlying platform.
Yeah, that will be great.
Thank you. This is my evil thing. 2 years in a row now. Now we're about to. If you are really efficient, at the end will be in December, probably in Japan. I can show to you the full thing working.
Great. Okay, so I'm lost here. Why is it so important that LifeRay is pulled out? Why is everyone so happy I'm left out?
Let's stick with the minimal thing chain. It reduces about 1.9 gigabytes of software to install.
Wow.
Just to start. Second thing is that we are not dependent anymore in a completely compilation part, in a completely unmaintained Java infrastructure that is out of our control. So that's the most important. And in my opinion, in the future, yes, in the future goal that getting rid of LifeRay, meaning that SAP 360 can become a dashboard for everything. If every company wants to customize the SAP 360 to do whatever the things he wants, will be questions of days, not about months or maybe years. It really become the things faster in there. And the most important thing is looking for the technical side of view, decoupling LifeRay, it means that we can simply change the core of SW360 to work in a modern Java, all the things possible. We can refactor the core of SW360 to make it modern. So LifeRay it's like anchor right now to the SW360. As soon that we remove this once, it's become a completely great project to be.
It is already a great project.
No. Just it's already
make
a great
Software
project.
360 great again.
It's the idea is that my goal that I already told to the people, SW360 is not anymore only the compliance management software tool, but becoming the center tool for management, everything related to compliance on company. Not only about the data, but if, for example, if you need to do some things like you access some data that is proprietary for you, but we can actually put in SW360 without going to the public repositories, we'll be able to do that. Today is impossible.
Yeah.
Then so it will become the real SW360. Maybe you can even rename for 720.
Unfortunately, I have to really leave at 11 my time. So I think this is interesting discussion. So I'm really looking forward to all these upcoming events. And that would also be now the last point here in the list. Upcoming events where we can further talk. So next week there will be the Ospology event in Frankfurt from also the LF Ospology, where there will be also Chatham House rules and work. I don't know how is this called, but work groups in the afternoon. So really looking forward to this. So perhaps I can see some of you there next week in Frankfurt. If not, next possibility. I think early bird rates are done now, but I think registration should be still possible. Would be October EclipseCon. As Francis mentioned, there are news from Software 360, Fossology, as Julian mentioned about Scanos. So please check out. I share here the link also to the program. In parallel, we have also yes.
That's there is one demo. That's the 19th. For EclipseCon. Until Thursday. 16th, 19th, yeah. And we will also have a side meeting to the EclipseCon where we will talk about open source management for Linux there with the colleagues from Aliens for Friends. I think here Alberto is also on the line, where we try really to, where we try to join forces with the Yocto colleagues, with Double Open, with Aliens for Friends, with Apertis, so that
at least for the idea of, so that will not be tooling, but it would be in the first step. We try to align on the specification about how to curate the data or collect the data that was already pretty well prepared by Alberto and Carlo there in Aliens for Friends, and then just ask the others if we could, use this as a base. But we will keep you informed also about this. Then November, here I also shared, this is really fresh in the last day. So they shared, I think 2 weeks ago, also here, the registration for the Mercedes-Benz FOSS convention here. You need to be fast because as far as I understood, there are 200 places only. If you want here also details about this, will be in the Mercedes-Benz Museum in Stuttgart. Then in December, Compliance Summit. And then already FOSDEM. And here just one hint: 16th October is deadline for developer room proposal, as far as I saw on the website. And what I try to do with my team is to keep the FOSS.events updated, so that perhaps ideally that would be my dream, that we do not need to list it here, but that we would have then a central list of the events, at least for Europe, because I'm only interested mainly in Europe. But yeah, we can check if we can also have the North American, Asian thing in here, because there might be interested people in the line, I guess. So, and that would be it. So next meeting, hope that all that was helpful to all of you. Sorry for taking such a lot of time in the beginning about the structure, but I think this is important. That we meet next time at the 18th of October at 1600 CEST, whatever that means in your time zone. So thank you very much and see you then.
Thank you so much, Marcel. Great restarting from our group. Fantastic. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Brilliant.
Please keep updated on the mailing list, where I will share the link to the Markdown wherever it will be. But I will share it. Okay, then thank you very much and have a nice day and a nice week. End of the week, short week for Germany. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.